Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Andres, and today I'll be talking about the latest book I've read, which is The Wizard of Earthsea. This is part of, I think, a four-book series by, or maybe six-book series by Ursula K. Guin. The Earthsea Cycle, I think it's called. These books are definitely, I think that they say they're meant for children. I think anyone could read them. I think as I'll go on in the story, I think anyone can read them. But I'll be talking first about just a general summary of the story, and then I'll go over some initial impressions without too many spoilers, and then I'll dive deeper into maybe some more spoiler talk at the end of the YouTube video. So yeah, let's begin. So this story takes place in the land of Earthsea. And the land of Earthsea is not like our Earth. It's an archipelago of islands. And it's a land full of magic. You know, people have magic. They're wizards, and it has fantastical creatures too, like dragons and such. Spirits and things like that. And this story takes focuses on the life of Sparrowhawk. He's our main character, and he basically is this young boy. We see his life from the beginning, from a young boy in the land of Gont. That's where he's born, an island in Earthsea, and we see his progression into becoming a great wizard from boyhood to essentially we end the book by the time he's an adult. And he has many adventures along the way. You know, he deals with a dragon. He enrolls in a wizard academy, becomes a wizard. And the main through plot of the whole story is him trying to free himself from a dark being that he unleashes by accident. And it's just kind of a recurring plot for most of the story. So, initial impressions, without any spoilers, I would say the writing feels very fairy tale like, or something I feel like my grandma or like a grandma might have read to you as a kid while you were in bed right before you went to sleep. It's just that kind of vibe. It's a simple story to follow. It's not too complex, but it does have a lot of really good themes about a coming of age, loss of innocence, confronting your mistakes and accepting who you are, the good and the bad. Also, I would say I think the story was adapted into a Studio Ghibli movie, or stories in this series were adapted. I would say it makes sense. This is very Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki vibes. The world and the writing does give off that feeling. And yeah, you can truly feel Ged's progression as a character. From a young boy to an adult, he changes to be from being like a young and careless kid to being more compassionate and more patient and more understanding about circumstances and about people. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it to readers of all ages, or as something to read along if you're an adult and you have children, reading along as a kid, because I feel like you might take away very different things than a child might. Like, you might be able to absorb more of the deeper themes, and the kid will enjoy the story as a fun just adventure of basically good versus evil. So I think it strikes that perfect balance. So overall, definitely recommend the book. So now let's get into a bit more, I guess, spoiler talk and just discussion about things I took away from the book and some notes I wrote while reading. One thing I really liked about the book is there's not a lot of action and like magic fighting in the book. Issues are mostly resolved by using kind of ancient magic knowledge, or like confronting like your fears, or using, or Ged uses his wits to like defeat the dragon, for example, by finding out from his studies what his real name is. And that's another thing I really like, the kind of magic system. I don't From my understanding, it basically is all about language and words and things. You know, there's the normal languages that people speak, but then there's an ancient language that where everything has a specific word for it. Like, each dragon has a special like old name, and if you know its name, you have power over it, and you can basically defeat it. And every wizard has a name, like an ancient name that defines who they are. And if someone knows that name, they basically can just easily defeat them. I really like this. It really gives a different twist on having, like, of course, in the story, you still have like illusion magic. I think that's very pronounced. And then it's very dangerous to just shapeshift. And I do appreciate that because it makes it more serious. Like, I feel like in other magic systems, in like books or TV shows, movies, it's very much like anyone can, like, everyone's fire bending and using air and and so on. So I really appreciated this magic type, and it really fits well into this setting that doesn't really devolve into just fighting all the time, I guess. Then I also want to talk about the kind of like shadow. Obviously, that's the main like plot point in the story, and I think it's a very interesting plot point. I feel like after the shadow is released, Ged changes a lot. He goes through trauma because the head of the Wizard Academy passes away due to his mistakes. But I also feel like in some ways, it's like the shadow is the dark part of him that goes away because he also becomes more meek. He becomes more like calm. He chooses deliberately not to use magic a lot of times to like sail or like to help out. He seems to much rather use like physical or like just normal means to solve issues, and if he can't, he'll resort to magic. That's mentioned quite a lot of times in the book, and I do appreciate that. I think on one hand, you can interpret it as him, going through this trauma, loses his innocence because of it, kind of becomes an adult due to it, and is more careful about things. In another, you could probably interpret it as, his good parts and his bad parts, separate, and the shadow takes his bad parts, and that's what it represents. But nevertheless, I really like that this kind of plot point with the shadow, and I like that the shadow, in the end, the way to defeat it is to confront the shadow, rather than to run away from it. For the whole book, he's running away from it, but in the end, he's like, no, I just have to confront it. And that's when he truly is able to defeat it, and the shadow actually starts running away from him. And I take that as kind of like just accepting your faults and just confronting your past and your mistakes will clear it out of your way, and make you feel freer and better as a person, and feel more full. And then also confronting your dark side, accepting it, because in the end he just takes it in. And there's the big reveal that the shadow, we're trying to find the shadow's name, and it turns out the shadow's name is his name. It's Ged. Yeah, I think that's just a great way to tell this kind of like theme about accepting the darkness within you as part of your own, and not just taking like the good, taking the bad too. So I really like that a lot. And I like also the other aspect of along the way, he meets a dragon, and then meets like a special stone in another land that tried to give him an easy way out by basically telling him this answer, or telling him the name of the shadow, and he chooses not to because he knows that there's gonna be repercussions to his actions if he takes the dragons. If he accepts the dragons, and the dragon tells him the name of the shadow, then the dragon will destroy the village that he's supposed to protect. And then if he accepts it from the stone, then the stone will use him, or process it himself. So he chooses not to take the easy way out and do it on his own, which I think is another great theme that the story talks about. But yeah, as I said, I really like the story. I like the themes a lot. Definitely recommend it. And I'm gonna be reading the second book. I think it's called The Tomb of Atuan. So be on the lookout for that review, probably next. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought about the Wizard of Earthsea. What do you like? What do you think about the series? What's your favorite book in the series? Yeah, let me know what you thought about this video, about my interpretation of things. So yeah, bye.